Falls of Clyde is the last surviving iron-hulled, four-masted full-rigged ship, and the only remaining sail-driven oil tanker. Designated a U.S. National Historic Landmark in 1989, she is now a museum ship in Honolulu, but has deteriorated to poor condition and is not open to the public. In September 2008, ownership was transferred to a new non-profit organization, the Friends of Falls of Clyde, which intends to restore her. Efforts to raise $1.5 million to get the ship into dry dock have not succeeded as of 2015. An additional $30 million is needed to fully restore the ship. Through cash reserves, grant writing, and an online Indiegogo campaign, the Friends have $145,000 on hand. History. Falls of Clyde was built in 1878 by Russell and Company in Port Glasgow, Inverclyde, Scotland. Launched as the first of 9 iron-hulled four-masted ships for Wright and Breckenridge's Falls Line, she was named after the Falls of Clyde, a group of waterfalls on the River Clyde, and built to the highest standard for general worldwide trade. Lloyd's Register A1. Her maiden voyage took her to Karachi, now in Pakistan, and her first 6 years were spent engaged in the India trade. She then became a tramp pursuing general cargo such as lumber, jute, cement, and wheat from ports in Australia, California, India, New Zealand, and the British Isles. After 21 years as a British merchantman, Falls of Clyde was purchased for $25,000 by Captain William Matson of the Matson Navigation Company, taken to Honolulu in 1899, and registered under the Hawaiian flag. When the Republic of Hawaii was annexed by the United States in 1900, it took a special act of the United States Congress to secure the foreign-built ship the right to sail as an American flag vessel. To economize on crew, Matson rigged Falls of Clyde down as a bark, replacing the 5 yards on her mast with 2 more easily managed fore and aft sails. At the same time, he added a deckhouse, charthouse, and rearranged the afterquarters to accommodate paying passengers. From 1899 to 1907, she made over 60 voyages between Hilo, Hawaii, and San Francisco, California, carrying general merchandise west, sugar east, and passengers both ways. She developed a reputation as a handy, fast, and commodious vessel, averaging 17 days each way on her voyages. In 1907, the Associated Oil Company bought Falls of Clyde and converted her to a bulk oil tanker with a capacity of 19,000 barrels. 10 large steel tanks were built into her hull, and a pump room, boiler and generator fitted forward of an oil-tight bulkhead. In this configuration she brought kerosene to Hawaii and returned to California with molasses for cattle feed. In 1927, she was sold to the General Petroleum Company, her masts cut down, and converted into a floating fuel depot in Alaska. In 1959 she was purchased by William Mitchell, who towed her to Seattle, Washington, intending to sell her to a preservation group. Mitchell's plan fell through, and subsequent efforts by Carl Kortum, director of the San Francisco Maritime Museum, and Fred Klebingat, who had sailed in her as chief mate in 1915, to place her in Long Beach, California, or Los Angeles, California, were similarly disappointed. In 1963, the bank holding the mortgage on Falls of Clyde decided to sell her to be sunk as part of a breakwater at Vancouver, British Columbia. Kortum and Klebingat aroused interest in the ship in Hawaii, and within days of the scheduled scuttling raised funds to buy the ship. At the end of October 1963, Falls of Clyde was taken under tow bound for Honolulu. Museum ship and controversy. Falls of Clyde was given to the Bishop Museum and opened to the public in 1968. In 1970, the grandson of original 19th-century designer William Lithgow was engaged to assist in her restoration as a full-rigged ship. Support came from Sir William Lithgow, the shipbuilder and industrialist, whose Port Glasgow shipyard donated new steel masts and topgallants, jib and spanker booms of Oregon pine. In 1973, the ship was entered into the National Register of Historic Places and declared U.S. National Historic Landmark in 1989. The ship is now in poor condition. Causes of the deterioration of the ship are multiple. The ship has not been dry docked for a long time. Sandblasting arguably damaged the ship. Preventive maintenance was not performed, although it would have been relatively inexpensive. In fact, her long-time owner, the Bishop Museum, has been accused of incompetence and dishonesty for raising $600,000 to preserve the ship but then spending only about half that, and for other decisions on how the money that was spent. In 2008, the Bishop Museum announced plans to sink her by the end of the year unless private funds were raised for an endowment for her perpetual care. In September 2008, the Bishop Museum was persuaded to transfer ownership to the non-profit group Friends of Falls of Clyde, which intends to restore her. However, many artifacts and fixtures had been given away, taken, or otherwise disappeared on the assumption that the ship was to be scuttled. $350,000 was obtained from the Robert J. Pfeiffer Foundation, but hoped for federal funds under the Save America's Treasures program or other programs did not come through. In each year since 2008, the foundation has hoped to get her into dry dock but has not succeeded as of 2015. In June 2016, the Hawaii Department of Transportation revoked the permit for her to moor at Pier 7, citing safety and security risks to port users. In popular culture, the ship appears as a filming location in Magnum P.I. Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6, Memories of Forever, and Season 6, Episode 10, Blood and Honor.